Olga Kern is with me. She comes to New Mexico to play Rachmaninoff's third piano concerto this Saturday at 6 p.m. with the New Mexico Philharmonic at Popejoy Hall. Olga, thank you for coming.
Oh, it's always pleasure to be here.
We're thinking that you've played this piece a long time ago with the orchestra, right after your competition win. When Rachmaninoff wrote the piece originally, he was trying to take time off from being a conductor and a performer and sort of wrote this, in Dresden, but then he took this gig to play for the first time in the United States, so he premiered it.
Yeah, and Mahler actually was the conductor.
With the New York Philharmonic.
Yeah. And Rachmaninoff was very happy with the premiere in New York because Mahler, as we know, he was a workaholic and he really worked. He rehearsed that piece really well. So when they had a premiere in a concert, it just went so greatly. Rachmaninoff was super happy, and he always was thanking Mahler for doing that. So that was really special for Rachmaninoff because, as we know, he had some other works like in the beginning, as his first symphony when. The conductor was not really great and
was actually drunk.
Piece actually, exactly. So I didn't want to say that, but it was just unfortunate that piece got really bad reviews and Rachmaninoff was not writing for some time just because of that. So that was a really great that this most difficult concerto, one of the most difficult concerto written for the piano repertoire, had such a great success at the premiere, and Rachmaninoff was performing it.
And it's a difficult concerto, but seemingly not so at the beginning. The melody is really quite simple.
Yes, it's a very simple melody, very Russian melody. A lot of people would think it's actually a folk song, but it was his original. It's not a folk. But because his soul, his heart was so Russian, that just came from him, that melody. And this melody is so Russian.
I think that he said that the melody just dropped out of nowhere. It sort of dropped into his head fully formed.
Yeah, I can imagine that. And it's just a, lonely, beautiful D minor, melody written in a minor key. It's just, I think, says how already he missed his country. Even, it was just the beginning of his emigration. But immediately you can just feel that, how lonely he felt.
It's also structurally the piece, it almost owes a lot to Mozart, doesn't it? In the structure, the voicing between the orchestra.
Exactly. It's just such a wonderfully, like a kind of a chamber music making, orchestration and piano part, especially in the first movement and in the beginning of the first movement. Of course, then he is getting more and more involved with, of course, his very well-known Rachmaninoff language, which he has a lot of chords and a lot of beautiful but difficult harmonies, So, for me, yes, it is. It's like a really beautiful chamber music making when you listen to orchestra parts, the orchestra, the different instruments playing, and then the piano interacts with them. So it's really greatly written.
And not afraid to use the piano as accompanist sometimes to the great melodies in the orchestra and then take over the melodies.
Exactly. And of course, it comes more complicated in the second, especially in the third movement. If you would just look at the scores, you would see not white and black. You will see only black. So this is how much notes he wrote in the third movement. It's just unbelievable how he could perform that much and compose, just put everything on the paper. Just to think about how many notes he put on that paper, and it just sounds beautiful. Everything is just very well balanced, and it's just scary when you start to read that music, for the first time.
Is it
you
scary
would
for a
think
pianist?
It's like, like one of my students, now I teach at Manhattan School of Music already, my second year there. And one of my students wanted to play the concerto. And he came to me with the scores and he said, "Oh, professor, I'm just so excited. It's just so wonderful. But then, when I start with the third movement, and then I was so scared. I don't think I will be able to even read the whole music until the end." I said, "Don't worry. It just takes time." But, even the most difficult literature written, not a poetry, but, some books are really complicated written. You can read it. You just need more time to understand it, So the same with music like that. You just need to take more time to read it very carefully, to really understand what he puts in there. And, I played this piece. I don't even know. I didn't count, but it's a lot because the first time I played it, I was 15 years old, and since that time, I'm playing it. And I must say that every time I look at the scores, I always find something new there.
Do you really?
Yes, because this is how masterpiece must be. You always find something new in the piece like that. So that's how it stays fresh, when I'm playing. It's very important for me to have a piece which I play for many times, just to have it fresh, to have something interesting to say, new to say. And of course, when I work with the different orchestras, different conductors, it's also give me a possibility for the new ideas, new images, new conception of the piece. It's a fascinating how one piece can sound differently over the years with different orchestras. It's incredible.
Do you ever find yourself in the middle of one performance sort of thinking about another performance and how you did? Does it ever confuse you at the time, or are you always like locked in right in the moment?
It's always right in the moment, especially with this piece. It's like the first and last time I play it every time because it just takes everything from me. It's very physical. It's very emotional. It's just everything, So after playing this piece on stage live, it takes everything, and I am completely exhausted, I must say. So I'm always there in that moment. I'm not thinking about past or future performances. It's just I am on that exact specific moment, and I'm doing this concerto for the first and the last time. That's how I feel it. And then, of course, very tiring after a performance of this kind of piece. But then, I sleep at night. In the morning, I wake up again fresh, and I can do it again and again and again. So sometimes with different orchestras, they have, for example, 4 performances in a row, like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday matinee. So I just did actually not long time ago in September, October with the Pacific Symphony. I just did 4 times Rachmaninoff third, So, and always you need to make it fresh for yourself. So this is why it's always for me just that specific moment, and that's it. This is the only time I'm playing it. And that's it. This is how I feel it every time I play this piece.
You must have incredible stamina. I was just looking ahead at your schedule, and in the course of the next month, I think you go to Spain, South Africa, briefly to Europe, and then you come back to America for most of the month of April. Do you sleep on planes? Is that about it?
I try to sleep on planes, but I really can't sleep on the plane. I try to give a balance for myself. So I know when I have a practice time, when I have time to rest, when I need to work, and when I can have time with my family, So over the years, I've been... after Clyburn, it was 2001, so it's been a while. I am, on the road all the time, and now I learn how to balance my life. I know exactly that if I just arrived to Albuquerque from Sarasota, where I had a totally different program, I did 2 recital programs there, then, it was a long travel. And then I need to rest. And I know that I need to give myself plenty of time so I don't need to rush anywhere next morning. And then I can just take it easy, especially sometimes with altitude and other things, different climates, different changes in time. I always try to prepare myself how my body would react so I can just rest a little more. And, that's how you learn these things. But I am so excited about my profession. I love what I'm doing. What can be better? If you really love your profession, I don't think there can be anything better. So I'm enjoying to be on stage, to work with the different great musicians, different orchestras, just meeting new great young people who are excited to perform. And it's our new generation, and to learn the different new cultures, which I didn't open for myself earlier days. So everything is just fascinating in this profession. It's a lot of travels. It's not that easy. It's tiring these days. But at the same time, when I come to the place already, and when I see new people who are excited to work with me and to do something really great for music, that there is nothing better than that.
Olga Kern performs with the New Mexico Philharmonic this Saturday at 6 p.m. Rachmaninoff's Piano Concerto No. 3. Tickets available at any UNM tickets outlet. By the way, if you go to the tickets outlet at the pit, free parking and no service charge. UNM ticket outlets, 925-5858, online, nmphil.org. Olga, can't wait to hear you play that Rock 3.
Thank you so much. I'm looking forward for it.